This is Trend Following Radio, where great thinking comes alive. Nobel Prize winners, legendary traders, best-selling authors, and the pros that know what drive us irrational human beings. I am your host, Michael Covel. Not filtered, raw, honest. That's my passion. From one of the Ocean's movies, 11, 12, or 13, I'm not sure, but I just love that song. I don't know any Italian. I assume it's Italian. I've not looked that closely. I guess I should have before I played it and commented on it, but I just love it. That very beginning and right when her voice hits, just hits you, right? You know, before I jump into where I want to talk today, where I want to go, I caught this comment. I guess it would be a critique of my world, of me, of this podcast. And someone said, why is he so angry? He's so angry. I really challenge someone that after they have listened to this entire podcast series, or if they've chosen a random 25, 50, or 100 episodes to listen to, I challenge them to really say, I'm angry. Now, of course, if you might find one random monologue on here where I was pretty worked up, I suspect somewhere in the last 7 years, I got a little hot under the collar, but probably for a damn good reason. And it was probably more funny than anything that I got that excited. But again, for a good reason. But it strikes me the way that we work today in social media, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, and how people think. And what they do is they go for what they think is the Achilles heel of someone who is successful. Now, I like to think of myself as successful, but I'm going to use an example of not me, because I can think of someone who is a touch more successful than myself, who also has an Achilles heel, apparently. That would be Elon Musk. So Musk comes out in the last few weeks. He goes ahead and he says, hey, you're having this problem in Thailand with the kids stuck in the cave. My engineers are working overdrive. We're going to make a mini sub that you can use to get the kids out if all else fails. So he does this. Now you just got to say to yourself, how awesome. And this is like Tony Stark, the real life version. The guy's got the wherewithal. He's got the money. He's got the engineers. He does it. That's just awesome. How can one hate against that? Impossible to hate. Well, not impossible. BBC quickly came out and said that there was a lead person in Thailand that was really turning down Musk's offer. That turned out not to be the case. And Musk actually documented with emails his communication with the people on the scene that were in charge. But you just scratch your head and you say, what's wrong with people? And this gets back to the criticism that I'm an angry guy in this podcast. But what's wrong with people? See, the angry people, it's not me. It's not Mike. I'm a pretty well-rounded guy. It's not Elon Musk. It's the little critic in his mom's basement who's got nothing better to do, has no, as Taleb would say, skin in the game in any way, shape, or form, who just wants to, via the power of social media, to feel big, to feel important. You know, if you take that concept and you expand it out, here we are in the beginning stages of social media, the last 10 years, where people really are feeling energized. Everyone has a view that they think is important. Everyone must say something. Knowledge or education irrelevant. Ignorance is often glorified. What happens if we roll this game forward a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades? How will people find information? How will people know up from down? How will people know right from wrong? Because if everything is such a spin soup, such a propaganda world of agendas and competing agendas, where the hell's the foundation? Where's the Basics. One of the basics that I love is a market. The most basic, two people at its root getting together and exchanging something for something. You quickly expand that out. It's more than two people. Now it's a group event. Now it's an auction style event. We as human beings have figured out over the centuries, going back to, let's say, the Japanese Futures Exchange, even before that, back to Roman times, people figured out that exchange, a marketplace, was a fabulous idea. Just absolutely the bomb. Now, I'm not so sure with the social media world that we live in today if people will understand that in the future. Maybe they won't get it. Now, you might say, Mike, that's impossible. Actually, you know what? I've got a friend of mine, very bright, and he challenged me about the whole idea of markets. He said, well, gosh, why do we need all these markets where you have two guys betting billions of dollars against each other with derivatives on top of derivatives that really amount to nothing more than bets on top of bets? He makes a good point. And I told him, I said, look, I got no problem if the good side of government steps up and regulates marketplaces, exchanges, so that the crazy, crazy bets on top of bets are regulated, that the money's there. You can't just be left holding the bag when the proverbial shit hits the fan. I have no problem with that. But I challenged him back. I said, what markets are you talking about? And he sort of expanded it out to commodity futures markets and didn't really appreciate hedging versus speculating, or the necessity of speculators being in the marketplace, the necessity of an individual coming into the marketplace without a corporate hedging need or some other need and laying his ass on the line to make bets to try to win. He just said, well, gosh, that's just not adding any value to society. You know, what do these great hedge fund managers that extricate alpha from the marketplace, what value do they add, was his point. Which at its root level is just pure confusion. Like not even really grasping what a market is and why all the different players are needed. This is why I say in this world that we exist in today, where information and knowledge are so easily found that literally it's right in front of you. But maybe because it's so easy to obtain, people don't value that. If the education is so easy to obtain, maybe you don't really learn it because you already think you know it, but you really don't know anything. I mean, back to a market. It's just people voting on the price of something. This is a beautiful concept. Absolutely beautiful. Look, here's an example of it not being so beautiful. I saw the other day, and I believe it was Ronaldo, I think, the Portuguese striker, and he got out of his contract or somebody bought it, and it worked out to where he was going to get now, I think, $65 million a year. That's what the market was offering. And by comparison, they show that LeBron James is going to get $30 million a year. Now, this is just a joke. As LeBron points out, the Golden State Warriors, I believe my numbers might be pretty close. The Golden State Warriors were worth around $500 million, and now they're at around $2.5 billion since Steph Curry has come onto the scene. That's $2 billion in value. Has Steph Curry been rewarded to the appropriate level? No, the owner is getting all that. Now, it's quite all right if the owner gets all that. That's the way the game is set up. But interestingly, in the NBA, there are caps. And those caps mean that LeBron can only make around $30 million this upcoming year. Now, what would LeBron make if it was a true open marketplace like in international football? How much would LeBron make if he was on the open market? How much would all of the competing owners be willing to bid him up? A hell of a lot more than $30 million. And if you think LeBron should only get the 30 million and doesn't deserve to get the highest amount he should get in an open market if one existed, well, the only reason you would disagree with LeBron getting not his open market value is because you're envious. Back to Elon Musk. Why did the BBC reporting feel the need to take a pot shot at Elon Musk? Because they were jealous. Why did somebody on a much smaller level feel the need to say, oh, this guy Covel, he's just angry? Because they're jealous. This is the life that we're in the middle of right now. I raise these issues because you've got to figure out a way to cut through it all and make good decisions. What's important and what's not important. That's one part of it. What is and what actually is not. For example, markets, the idea that you might think that futures markets are not necessary, even though there's hundreds and hundreds of years across multiple countries showing the importance. But some young, smart person might just think that all of that goes out the window, even if they have no experience to judge or understand. And it's important to have these types of foundational understandings in your hip pocket before you move on to something else. For example, I want to move on to something else right now. I want to talk about lumpy returns, volatile returns, especially in something like the trend following space that I exist in. Now think about what trend following is, and I've used this example before. You start the year, doesn't have to be the start of a year, I'm just using it for an illustration. You start the year, you don't know what's going to happen as a trend following trader. Your objective to get on board a trend before it's a trend and to ride it before you know that it's going somewhere. And you have this mindset across a diverse grouping of markets, from gold to oil to stocks to the agricultural markets, palladium, coffee, corn, soybeans. Who the hell knows? All these different markets that you, the average individual, don't know anything about. Well, guess what? The average trend following trader, even if managing billions of dollars, doesn't know anything about the fundamentals either. Because that information is not part of the soup making process. At least in the trend following world, it's not part of the soup making process. So you start that year off, year whatever, and you start to roll it forward. What's going to happen? What geopolitical event could possibly unfold that would make a market go? Well, we have no idea, but we wait. Could be energy, could be oil on the up move or oil on the down move. Who the hell knows? Maybe there's a 50% move unleveraged in oil. Yeah, this has happened quite a few times. But you don't know when it's going to start. You don't know when it's going to happen. You can't make those kinds of predictions. And back to the point of even starting this illustration, if you put yourself in a position to wait for trends to unfold, not knowing when they are going to unfold, unable to predict a damn thing, with some trends that will start and stop, well, how the hell can you expect anything that looks like less volatility, less lumpiness? You should expect, you should want, you should thrive on the idea of lumpy returns. Because lumpy returns are freaking real. Non-lumpy returns, yeah, can be fake. Not always, but they can be fake. Because enterprising souls out there use financial engineering to convince customers that the return profile of steady up 1% a month is actually reality, when it's often never reality. I've said it many times. If you see plus 1% a month, every month, now to the average person, that looks really nice. That looks sweet. Plus 1% every month. Oh my God, this is a fantastic investment. I'm going to get 12% a year. It's the same every month. Shangri-La. No, bullshit is what it is. The world doesn't work that way. Plus 1% a month. It's either Bernie Madoff or long-term capital management. Or if you happen to be JP Morgan with your servers closer to the exchange than other people, then you can use millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of servers and technology to get a micro millisecond edge on everybody else and high frequency yourself to plus 1% or plus 2% or plus 5% every month. Well, that's great, but that's not most of us. That's a very few people part of the rigged game at that level. But even if that game exists at a rigged level, and it does that stop markets from trending? No. The fact that JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs or whatnot are pulling off some arbitrage at the speed of light has not stopped long-term trends. It's just part of the market. Now, hopefully in the future, some regulations, some control will level that playing field. But even if they don't, again, where have the trends stopped? Lumpy returns are odd market behavior. Odd market behavior. I don't know if I like that. Odd market behavior. Odd market behavior is market behavior. What's non-odd? But people have this vision that markets are a certain way. Again, this very steady climb. And then when the you-know-what hits, the chaos hits, all of a sudden those lumpy returns that exist in the trend following world go far beyond lumpy. They go to extraordinary. They go to massive. They go to game-changing. They go to life-changing. How does one even figure this out? How does one even go down the path of knowing what I'm saying is right or wrong? Now, of course, I can say, well, gosh, I've written some books about this topic, but still, the average person, they want to figure out, is this guy Mike saying something that's useful or not useful? How do I know? How do I trust? I empathize with you. I feel very lucky, very fortunate to have been up close and personal to people and situations in the last 25 years. And I don't know if that opening or that transparency will ever exist again. Instead of that kind of transparency existing again, we now have social media transparency. And social media transparency isn't real. I caught a tweet the other day from Cliff Asness, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit here, but he said something to the effect, if we have meditation over here on the right, then the opposite of meditation is Twitter. And that's so much the truth. I love Twitter because there's so many smart people on there, especially many of the academics who have devoted their life to uncovering new and novel ways to think and decide and understand situations, people, places, etc. I love Twitter for that. But in my world, the market world, I find the market participants on Twitter, the people that feel like they must say something every day, you sometimes wonder, don't they take a step back? Don't their followers take a step back and ever just say, my God, how can all of these people believe themselves that they have something useful to say? And how can their followers actually believe it? Because sadly, in this day and age of social media, so few people have an understanding of how the sausage is made. They don't know how the sausage is made. So in turn, they give up their understanding or lack thereof to the name, to the brand, to the famous person. I trust that person. Even if I don't understand what the hell is going on, I trust that person. Again, this is all terribly frightening to me. so few people understanding what's going on, so few opportunities to really see how the great decision makers decide, because those walls have been put up. And my gosh, I guess if I was in their position, I'd put that wall up too. But it's harder and harder to figure out how the best and the brightest really make decisions. They don't make decisions by following people on Twitter. But everybody on Twitter wants someone to follow them. It's this insidious, vicious circle. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I love the collaboration. I love the connection. I love checking in and finding interesting insights from the people that I follow. But I also have the secret decoder ring. I know where the bodies are buried. I don't think enough people have that experience today. And with so much tribal desire, so many people unwilling to even think for themselves without checking in to see if their tribe has decided it's A-OK. My gosh, we are left with just one guaranteed future situation, which I love. Chaos. Absolute chaos. How do you model chaos? How do you model chaos? Kind of hard. This gets back to why I love the perspective in the trend following world. To model chaos, my gosh, just kind of follow along. Go with the flow. If the market is going that way, if the price is going that way, get on board and go with it. Bayesian Statistics 101. The priors count. The prior counts. And they connect. And they chain together. And they give you something. I still remember Larry Hite educating me to his Bayesian statistical mindset. It all chains together. And if you got a good plan to follow along, you get those chained trends and you end up with something. You end up with more cash than you started with. And more cash is the game. And it fills either one of two needs for you. It fills the need of, I got more cash, I can do more things, I can travel, I can buy, etc. Or it's part of a game. Either one's okay, why not? There are many market players that simply play the game to try and win. They've got enough cash. They don't care about the money. It's a way to keep score. Keeps their minds active. Keeps their spirit involved. It's the epitome of skin in the game. It's a good thing. Back to my friend and his example, the questioning of markets. Not a good thing. Markets are us. Markets are people. I have a hard time thinking of any human group collaborative effort that supersedes a market. The idea that we have figured out a way to generally, peacefully go ahead and group together to find a price. That's absolutely beautiful. And I got to tell you, if you're one of those people out there that wants 100% state control, no profit, we literally have politicians in America now politicking for the idea of no profit. But if you're one of those people and you happen to be listening, try and do some legwork to find out why you might be wrong. Because that profit thing, that driver, that's nothing but good in my mind. I see a time when those awake will understand how to make money in up, down, and surprise markets. Whether new trader or experienced, college student or financial advisor, protecting against a crash or just trying to make a lot of money, trend following offers everyone an answer in uncertain times. To get started immediately, send me an email, michael@covel.com. I will send you the right trend following steps to take along with my free video. But if you want to buy and hold, trust the government and trust Wall Street, this is absolutely not for you.